Welcome to Queer and Magical AF. This video is really intended for folks who have been subscribed for a while or maybe seen some of my previous videos, and I wanted to announce the relaunch of this YouTube channel, which I'm really excited about. Specifically, I wanted to tell you a little bit about what this channel is going to be, what it's not going to be, and then what I'm offering on other platforms so that you can make an informed decision of what kind of content you want to receive from me. So, as some of you may know, I left my full-time job in March, which was a huge leap, and I decided that I wanted to pursue spiritual and creative business full-time. I am currently focusing on building up a Patreon, which I'll tell you a little bit about in a second. But I also decided to think a little bit about what I want to do on different channels. A big part of the reason why I left that job is because I really want to pursue means of serving the collective through working as a healer, through pursuing joy, and doing things that aren't dependent on a 40-hour-a-week job that has a relatively set schedule and doesn't really go together all that well with my neurodivergence and some of my disabilities. I do want to acknowledge, as I'm making this announcement and telling you a little bit about myself and what I have to offer, that I do have a fuck ton of privilege. So I am, one, white, which means a lot. I was raised in a relatively middle-class family. I have a university education. And so a lot of those things make it possible for me to pursue this business and pursue entrepreneurship. And I want to be really clear about that because I've always been afraid of entrepreneurship my whole life. It's always been scary to me because I always heard that businesses fail and that it doesn't work. And what we actually know about entrepreneurship is that the businesses that succeed tend to be run by folks who had some sort of support when they started out. And so I want to be really honest about the fact that I do have that support. I have awesome, loving partners. I currently live with a couple of them, which means that I'm able to reduce some of my expenses to be able to do something like this. I also did have a successful career in the nonprofit sector where I was able to save up some money. I could not have done this without a safety net. And I want to be honest about that because I think it's really important that I'm honest with y'all about what my journey is actually like. This channel, however, is not really going to focus on me and my journey so much as it used to. Going to be focusing more on providing content for you that is educational and that is inspiring around the topics of tarot and astrology. I also want to have some informative content around different tarot decks because that's been some of my most popular content in the past. And it took me a little bit of time thinking about whether I wanted that to be a big part of my channel because I do acknowledge that sometimes deck reviews might come across as really capitalist and encouraging you to spend all your money, and this does not have to be an expensive hobby. But I also realized that I really value hearing from other readers about what it's like to work with different decks. And I want to shout out people like Lisa at Supportive Tarot, like Dawn Michelle at Boho Tarot, and others, Kasha at Tarot Map. Those are the three that come to mind immediately that I really benefit from their showing different decks. And I realized that I can do that in a way that is not necessarily saying that magic is all about money and spending money, because we know it's not. But I do want to talk about decks and provide particularly a perspective as a queer, trans, disabled, polyamorous, etc., etc., etc. person that might have a different perspective on decks. So that is one of the things I'll be doing on this channel. I will be posting deck reviews. I will be trying to do some specific deck reviews that are around themes like that. So for example, decks that might be good to work with if you're doing shadow work around oppression. Decks that might be good to work with if you're doing queer relationship or family readings. Decks that are particularly good if you are working with some of the challenges you have around disability or mental health or illness. So those are going to be part of this channel. I'm also going to be continuing the trans tarot topics series because I think it is something unique that I offer, but I will probably be broadening it out. I haven't quite figured out the title. Let me know if you have an idea. I was thinking like tarot for liberation, tarot for justice, cards for the collective, I don't know, something like that, that makes it clear that it's specifically about marginalized folks and those topics in reading. So I'm going to be doing that as a major focus of this channel. I'll do a couple more series. I'm going to continue the Practical Astrology 101 series, but I'm going to try to focus it a little more to make it a little easier to digest and really think about ways to make this an educational channel without saying that my perspective is the only one or the best one. So I'll be looking for ways to suggest maybe writing prompts you can do, ways you can work with your own chart, etc. in that series. And there may be from time to time a few videos on this channel that aren't within specific series, but I'm really trying to focus YouTube on some of the longer video content that I provide on those deck reviews and things that I just think will be particularly good for YouTube. I did mention in my last video on my last channel update, I mentioned something about how I was considering moving to Instagram, and I've decided based on the comments to that video and some personal feedback I've received that I do want to stay on YouTube, but that I will be using Instagram in addition for other kind of quick off-the-cuff videos, single card videos. So I'm going to do some specific card, reinterpreting specific cards, quick looks at decks before I do full reviews, and other sort of more kind of personal reflection content will show up on my Instagram. So I would love it if you could go follow me over there at Queer Magical. And also if you're on Twitter, I'm at Queer Magical as well. On Twitter, I'll be doing, obviously more written content, and particularly doing some more interactive and engaging content. So those are some of the free platforms you can find me on. In addition, I'll leave a link below to my monthly newsletter, which is another place you can get. I kind of do, again, if you're interested in my own personal voice, I'll sort of talk each month about a theme that's happening with me and then expand it out to the collective, and maybe ask some prompt questions. I also do some various sort of recommendations for the month, things that are making me happy this month, patterned after an NPR show you may know, sometimes photos from my life, etc. So you can also, down below, follow that. For Twitter and Instagram, again, it's just at Queer Magical for both of those channels. And finally, what I'm really encouraging and asking for, which is sometimes hard to do, but I am asking for your support on Patreon. So my Patreon is patreon.com/queermagical. I'll leave that below as well. I'm working on recording a channel trailer as well as a little perennial intro that reminds people of how to support me there. And there's some really cool stuff. So you can support from anywhere from $1 up. There's different tiers that are available on Patreon. And you can get access to things like a monthly astrology-based reading for the collective every month. At some tiers you can get a quarterly personalized to your rising sign kind of overview of the astrology coming up and some of the things you can focus on. I'm also just doing regular content where I dig more in depth about tarot cards, about astrology, about oracle, and about just general liberation and justice from a spiritual perspective. There will be previews of a super secret deck project that I am so excited about but not really ready to fully share yet. There will be previews of a book I'm writing on tarot, so all sorts of exciting stuff. But the way that I'm able to spend all my time creating this kind of content, including the free content on my social media channels, is with the support of my patrons. So I would really, really ask if you have $1 or more a month that you can kick my way. Please do go over there to patreon.com/queermagical. That is my only current source of income, so that is what's supporting this work. And I think you'll find that my writing there is quite unique. I am somebody who is a storyteller and is a natural writer. And so I love doing written content, but I especially love doing, again, this kind of work that takes tarot and astrology but puts marginalized people at the center. So if you're queer, if you have a disability, if you have an illness, if you are BIPOC, if you are Native, if any of these things apply to you and you are financially able to join the Patreon community, I'd love it if you do so. You'll also get discounts on working with me one-on-one. I haven't quite opened my books yet, but that is coming. And there will always be a sliding scale for all BIPOC clients, no questions asked, all the way down to free if you need it. So as soon as I open up my books one-on-one, I will let you know. But for now, stay tuned here. If you're subscribed, say subscribed. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that, I don't know where it is, notification, subscribe, bell, whatever, button, I don't know, just hit the thing, and I look forward to seeing you here. Again, you can check all my links below. I'm Queer Magical pretty much everywhere now, and I would love it if you would support me on Patreon, but I'd also love it if you just tell your friends about my social media channels, promote, help me to get some folks aware of the work that I am doing. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.